Okay, so I know that this might be a slightly sensitive topic considering how bad it was and how early it's been, but I at least want to get my thoughts and my feelings out because I've never had really too much of a, how would I say this, a good way to cope with things. But I wanted to talk about the Charlie Kirk assassination that happened on September 11th. And I didn't really know how to vent my frustrations with it other than on YouTube in the public to at least get my point and at least my views across. For the last, I would say about 6 years now, I've okay. I would consider myself an independent voter. I didn't really have too much I wasn't really too much into politics, so I would just look at each side, see what I agreed, what I disagreed with, and I would go off of that. Granted, I haven't registered to vote yet, but I at least had the wherewithal to know that regardless, an opinion is an opinion, and I can have my own, everybody can have their own, and, oh, oh god, okay, already? Hi. But, uh-oh. This isn't gonna go good. Anyways, I've always been, at least I thought I was an independent. I would take both parties' ideologies and I would kind of merge them into one, because there's some things with like Republicans that I agree with, and there's some things with Democrats that I would agree with. But overall, I was independent. There was granted, I lean more towards the conservative side, or at least the constitutional side. I believe that we should try our best to uphold the Constitution and like the First and Second Amendment, like the 10th, the 15th Amendment, because that's what makes our nation so great. We have these God-given freedoms to be able to say and do whatever we want. We have the right to bear arms. We passed an amendment that would allow us to abolish slavery. We gave most people the rights of every man and woman, the God-given rights of every man and woman. And I say that kind of lightly because I don't really consider myself a Christian, although I would say I would believe in some of the things the Bible has to say and like Christianity has to offer. But I don't think I agree with enough of it to consider myself a Christian. But Oh my god. Oh no. Poor guy. Okay, yeah, I gotta get out of here. There's artillery. Oh no. There you are. Non-pent again. Oh no, that's not good. That should be fine, right? Yeah, there we go. Oh no. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. What I think happened, and I seriously got off topic talking about like politics and religious stuff. I don't want to be that kind of channel. I don't want to try to force any politics on people or any religions on people, or I don't want to force anything on people, because at the end of the day, everybody has their own opinions, everybody has their own morals, and that's fine. Everybody at least deserves their own way of thinking about things. But the Charlie Kirk thing, the assassination that happened on September 10th with Charlie Kirk it's unforgivable. There's so many things that happened. I mean his wife and his kids were in the crowd when this happened. He basically got executed in front of his wife and children, and I don't think in any right that's ever... Damn it. I don't think there's any right for anybody to try and justify what happened to him, because he seriously did not deserve it. Everybody has their own opinions. He was a incredibly Christian man. He believed that you should respect everyone. He believed that everybody had the right to their own opinion. And I know I'm probably gonna get some political backlash for this, but I really don't care. There's so much stuff at play there, like his wife and his children being there, but also the fact that after the shot rang out, one of his daughters wanted to hold him because of how scared they were because of the gunshot. They actually started running towards him. Not good. Oh, that's a tiger. Not good at all. Okay. And I seriously don't want to take this. I didn't want to like double down on the political, on like being the first drama War Thunder channel. But this is something I feel like I can't really go without talking about, because it's how do I put this? It's demoralizing to a point, because all Charlie wanted to do was talk about his beliefs. He wanted to debate people. He had a huge following. Even the pictures at UVU will show you that he wasn't just someone who wanted to politic just for the sport. He wanted to debate just for the sport. But he seriously believed everything that he was talking about, and he had the courage to stand up and talk about his opinions in a time where it feels like talking about his where I'm sorry, I just got done playing Drunk Apex, so I'm a little tipsy right now. But he came up at a time and started talking and debating in a time where it felt like you would get scrutinized for any little detail that was wrong in the court of public opinion. And even still, he would have rather spoke up and died than stayed silent and died with his beliefs. And in my opinion, there's absolutely nothing more honorable than doing that. And personally, I feel like just because you disagree with somebody, it does not give you the right to go out and try to shoot them in front of fans, in front of family, anything. You shouldn't kill somebody just because they have a different point of view than you. And it is genuinely upsetting, and it's stressful, especially since I have a daughter. Having her grow up in a world where there's all these repercussions, all of these extremes that people will go to just because you say what's on your mind and say your opinion. And it scares me, not only for my daughter's future, but for the future of this country, because I love America. There's no greater love I have than being an American citizen, because we have all these God-given rights. We have the longest standing official document in government history being the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. And I feel like just because somebody wants to exercise one of those, 23, 24 rights now, I could very well be wrong on that, but just because somebody could get killed just because of those amendments is absolutely atrocious. The state of the country is absolutely horrible right now, and I really wish there was some way for every citizen of the United States to at least agree on something. And there's been a lot of talk going around that Charlie Kirk is now going to be considered a martyr for a honorable cause, because he died wanting to give his opinion. He died wanting to debate with people. God, I can't really form words about it right now, but there's very little. Oh God, there's so much. At least what I've seen, there's so many people that have tried to say, oh, he supported this and stuff. Hey, he wanted extra violence. And earlier tonight, it's currently 1:28 in the morning. Earlier tonight, I saw a couple comments saying he wanted this. He supported gun deaths in America, and he wanted to. Ooh. I'm not gonna be able to do anything. But he wanted to at least spread his opinion and let everybody know that God would, in some way, shape, or form, allow people to get into heaven, to at least enjoy themselves a little bit. Oh, that's not good. And he had a very undoubtedly, he had a really good stronghold on the youth of today. He had a really good stronghold on the youth of 2025, and then when I say youth, I mean at least 30 and under. And since I'm 21, I can admit I was influenced by him in some way, at least to be able to speak my mind and not feel shame or regret for doing so, because in some regard he at least showed people it was possible to speak their opinion, at least for a little bit of time. He showed people that it's okay to have an opinion. And I want to iterate this a bunch. It's okay to have your own opinions. It's completely okay. There's nothing more I want from my fan base than to have them know that I really don't care if you disagree with me on some topics. I really don't. There's multiple occasions where some of my close friends have disagreed with me on certain topics, but it doesn't matter because everybody's opinion is subjective, and that's okay. Everybody can have their own opinion, and that's fine. And I won't look at any part of my fan base, whether it grows or if I stay stuck at a small time channel. I really don't mind if you guys share differing opinions than me, because as long as we can get along with one thing or another, if we have the same hobbies, it's fine. Like, for me, I'm really into music. As long as somebody's into music, and, like, for me, at least personally, for example's sake, I see music as an outlet to show someone's personality. Because there's no way that somebody would try to be malevolent about that And as long as everybody is able to at least see the bright side in this, at least I feel like there will be some good in it. I, for sure, don't want there to be another civil war in the United States because of this. Because at the end of the day, everybody's unique, everybody has their own opinions, everybody has their own moral code, and there's quite a few things that make that acceptable. For one, everybody is not going to be the same. Everybody's not going to agree with you on everything, and it's going to be very rare if you find somebody that agrees with you on everything. And if they do, I would suggest that you cherish them whole and true, because it is an incredibly rare thing to come across, finding somebody that actually, like, genuinely shares your beliefs and your moral code. And I would suggest keeping that person as a as a really good friend, regardless of any arguments that you may have, regardless of any struggles that you guys may have together. Because at the end of the day, struggle is what... having some kind of struggle, regardless of if it's... regardless of if it's political or something as common as liking waffles or pancakes. Because at the end of the day, regardless, we're all human beings. We all deserve the same chance at life that everybody else does. In my personal opinion, unnecessary gun violence seriously needs to stop.
Another zone captured, we have the advantage.
Because having so many good people get killed because of gun violence, and I'm gonna be talking back at a lot of people like George Floyd, and I seriously, I don't remember that Democratic congressman or congresswoman, my bad, that got killed. I don't remember the full details of it. I think it was, she died, she got shot, and there was, I think her family was involved. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. But George Floyd, that Democratic congresswoman, Charlie Kirk, JFK, Martin Luther King, none of them deserve to get killed because of their point of view. There's nothing that I despise more and brings genuine grief to me than when somebody is speaking their opinion for such a long time and there being nothing wrong with it. Because again, everybody has their own opinions, and that's 100% fine. But there's a certain line that you cross where for some people it can become intolerable. And regardless, everybody has their own opinions. You shouldn't judge somebody based off of their opinions. And
We've captured most of the strategic zones.
God. And anyways, sorry, I zoned out for a second. There's nothing, and I seriously mean there's nothing worth getting rid of somebody's life for. And if you feel like there is any reason to get rid of somebody, to assassinate or murder somebody, then you are what's wrong with this country. Because at the end of the day, the freedom of speech is a genuine thing. And everybody has the right to it. I don't care if you're Democrat, if you're fascist. I don't care about any of that. As long as you're in this country, you have the freedom to speak your mind. You have the freedom to own a gun. You have all of these basic freedoms that some countries don't have, and I feel like people take that for granted. In my opinion, the right to keep and bear arms all came from you or anybody being able to protect themselves from a tyrannical government. That's what is blatantly written in the Bill of Rights. And I believe everybody deserves that right, whether you're right-leaning or left-leaning. What you don't have is the ability to dictate when someone's life ends just because of their differing opinion. There's, like I said before, Martin Luther King, he had a differing opinion than most people in the 60s, in the early and mid 60s, where black people could have the rights, have the exact same rights as a white person. And I personally believe that skin color doesn't matter. If you are human, you have the God-given right. It doesn't matter if you're black, if you're Asian, Taiwanese, Japanese, Russian, Germanic, Polish. It doesn't matter. As long as you are human, you have that God-given right to express yourself, to be able to keep and bear arms, and everything. Everything described in the Bill of Rights, at least. At the very least. And to see someone who devoted themselves to the Christian faith, who had their own opinion, and I'm not saying I agree with Charlie Kirk in everything. There's some things I disagree with him on, like abortion. And I'm not Christian. I think I lean closer to atheist, but I can at least acknowledge that the Bible says that life begins at first breath. Ooh. Oh, hi. Oh, I got jumped. But I genuinely think that everybody deserves their own opinion. Everybody is allowed to do whatever they want as long as it aligns with good conscience. Killing somebody is never in good conscience. Robbing somebody because you don't have enough money, that's bad conscience. And I've had experiences where I don't want to say I've exactly done those things, but there are some things that I have done that I completely regret. Like, for example, and for the record, I'm 21. I don't have as much life experience as people, and they probably have a better understanding of life than I do. But at least for example's sake, I was married. Well, technically, I still am married. And I treated my spouse like absolute shit. It was the absolute worst time of my life. And as of this current moment, I feel horrible for everything I've done. I neglected her emotional feelings. I was a horrible, horrible person. And nobody deserves to have their emotions neglected or abused or any right. And I wish I could make... Wow, I'm getting tired. I wish that I could have... I wish I could have at least some right to acknowledge that at one point in time I was a shitty person, and I can acknowledge that I was, and be able to I was able to at least come back and at least be able to understand that what I did was a bad thing. Nobody deserves that, and at the very least, the girl that I was married to wholeheartedly didn't deserve what I did. Ow. Oh, a little bit over a year later, I recognized that what I did was shitty and that I need to change. And so I started doing that. I wasn't always a morally correct person, but I had the ability to change and see things through a different light. And if life has taught me anything, it is that life is incredibly fragile. Because I also lost a friend of mine within the last couple months. She died in a car accident, and it tore me to pieces, and that was one of the first time I realized that life is a sacred thing. And it doesn't get any more important than the people you keep around your life and how you ultimately end up viewing life. And all I wanted to say, moral of the story. Complete moral of the story. Life is something you shouldn't take for granted. Regardless of if you grew up in a poor or a rich household, regardless of if you disagree with somebody, just know that their life is important. There is people within their life that view them as incredibly important. And you shouldn't be going around thinking, oh, I wish I could beat their ass, or I wish I could just go out and kill them. Because there's so many people out there. There's so many differing opinions. Everybody has the right to think how they want. And you seriously shouldn't be you seriously shouldn't be killed over it. It shouldn't have happened to Kirk. It shouldn't have happened to King. It shouldn't have happened to, well, I mean, granted, I don't agree with most of the things that Donald Trump says, but it shouldn't happen to Donald Trump either. The moral of the story is, regardless what walk of life you go through, regardless of what trauma you have to endure, regardless of what issues you may be keeping deep down inside, to later on deal with them, you shouldn't have to be scared. You shouldn't have to be worrying about your own life. Alright guys, sober me here, finally, for once. I just wanted to say that the end of that video was basically just me trying to get out the main point of the reason I was trying to make that video. Basically, I was just trying to say that experience builds character, and it also reflects how you're going to view the world, and it's going to help you build your opinion on what the world should be like. So, regardless of traumas, regardless of individual experiences, you will have your own experiences and you'll have your own opinions for life. And the complete point to the story is, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done with your life, death shouldn't even be considered as an option. And since I recorded that, I saw a statistic specifically for my generation, Gen Z, that 48% of us see violence as a justified reaction only for if somebody's opinion doesn't match yours. And I think that's disgusting. This world is slowly, well, at least this country is slowly going downhill, where most people think that the Second Amendment enables you to do bad things. And it's allowing people to subconsciously try to make the connection that you can use the Second Amendment to silence the First, which I don't think is at all what it's supposed to be made for. I think the Second Amendment is there for the sole purpose to defend yourself and the people around you from a tyrannical government. But that's not at all why I'm bringing this up. The biggest point throughout this entire video was, life is precious. There's absolutely no reason to take something so fragile and so important for granted, and there's definitely no reason anybody should have it taken away from them before it's supposed to happen. Um, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little drunk stupor that I decided to put together after playing Overwatch with some of my buddies. And if you guys do want to see more content, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. If you want, subscribe. It's always free. And if you change your mind, you can always unsubscribe. And with uh that little tidbit of now sober me being able to actually cohesively make thoughts, I will see you guys in the next one, whenever that decides to come out. Hopefully I get a little more consistent in my upload schedule. See you guys.